Hello there guys, it's me Unstable Voltage. Welcome to episode 66 of Europa Universalis IV. So what are our plans for the next few videos? Well, hopefully we'd like to continue expanding. We've got quite a lot of aggressive expansion over in the HRE and England as well, actually, Great Britain. Obviously we've taken quite a few chunks out of them, so they are very likely to coalition us. I'm actually surprised that we haven't triggered a coalition before now. If we do get a coalition, it is likely to be Austria, Milan, Holland, Bavaria and Britain. We may be able to hold them off, though we do have to be careful. I don't have an awful lot of aggressive expansion against Castile. I would like to try and take a chunk out of them. Certainly we'd like to try and take Barcelona. We do have a CB on that. What I would like to try and do, if at all possible, although it might be tricky, is maybe take Alicante and Murcia as well. So take 3 provinces from them, which might be enough to sustain, but also try and get them to release Granada, which would be Gibraltar, Granada and Almeria. So we could potentially take 6 provinces away from them all in one swoop, which would all be coastal. And the main reason why I'd want to take Murcia and Alicante, we don't have to, we could still release Granada anyway, but I'd like to try and vassalize them. We're more likely to be able to vassalize them if we are, if we have neighbouring provinces, because then we don't get the distance penalty. But if we have Valencia as a core, they should technically be close enough to vassalize in any case. So we'll have to see how that goes. As far as allies go, Castile doesn't really have an awful lot. They have an alliance with Tuscany, who have like 2 provinces over here. And they have an alliance with Quito, who I actually had to look up, because I didn't even know who Quito was. But it's someone over here in South America. So there's Quito there. So I don't have to worry about those. Now, the big problem that we do have, of course, is if we do end up going to war with Castile, even though we're quite strong at the moment, a coalition still might trigger based on the fact that we will be losing some troops. Great Britain doesn't even consider us a rival anymore. We've still got this potential rebel uprising that could fire within the United Kingdom, so we will have to keep our eye on that within Great Britain. We can invest in a new technology. That's going to be admin tech. Now, we are a little bit ahead of time. I think I was just trying to wait until the ahead of time penalty went away a little there. I'd also like to try and save some money up before I go to war with Castile, because if we do end up triggering a coalition in the middle, it'd be nice to have some money in the bank that we can use to very quickly hire ourselves some mercenaries for defence. And there was one other thing as well that I did just want to quickly look at. It just came to mind, and now I have completely forgotten what I wanted to do. We're using all of our colonists. That is fine. We can get a free military leader, but we're not going to do that yet, as we're not at war, and it seems pointless, because all you end up with is someone that you spend 50 military points on someone, and they die before you even get to use them. Just remember what it was I was going to look at. I wanted to actually have a look at Castile's navy, see what they've got. Not too bothered about the stuff that they have overseas, although they do have some pretty good numbers over there. They've got a fair few light ships. The Castilian main fleet is 22 heavies and 55 lights. Couldn't give 2 figs about the transports, really. We could potentially take that. They've got too many ships floating around to be able to leave our trade fleets out. So what I would do is bring all my trade fleets in, consolidate them all together, and then get them to form up with our heavies. That seems like the best way of doing things there. With that in mind, it's even more important that we do actually get a decent amount of money in the bank before we start, because our trade fleets won't be trading. So we've got to keep that in mind. Yeah, people fabricating. Now, we do have that smaller trade fleet that is out and about, and you are protecting trade in the Gulf of St. Lawrence, so we need to get this group and do the same thing with you. So you are going to protect trade in Gulf, is that Gulf of St. Lawrence? Yeah. And I need to rename some of these trade fleets. I think I actually will do. We'll take this, that's our, what fleet's this? Why do you have a random extra 4 ships in there? That's really random. Okay, we must have picked them up in a battle somewhere. We can't detach units. You are protecting trade in the English Channel. Let's stop doing that. I want to split off 4 ships. Just trying to keep the numbers even because it upsets my OCD. So off you go. You guys can continue to protect trade in the English Channel. Now I've lost it. And I think what we'll actually do is we will call you English Channel. Just because it makes it much easier then for me to be able to look over here and see exactly where that fleet is going. Although the name didn't take because I forgot to hit enter. So, English Channel, enter. There we go. Not sure why it's got a flag there. But that should have changed the name, and it has. And you are your Lübeck. So we're going to change you to... that's not quite right. Lübeck, there we go. And I'll rename the other one when they've all grouped up. So we're going to have those extra 4 ships there, which means we can just get away with building an extra 6. Let's do that now. Should be fairly cheap. Still below our force limit. Definitely below our naval limit. So let's do 10 lights. But what I'm going to do is remove 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, because then that'll bring us up to another 10. We have a call to arms from Brandenburg. Brandenburg is requesting that we come to their aid in the Brandenburgian conquest against Sweden. It's a war that they've started. Sweden is allied with the Livonian Order, Riga, and the Hansa. No one that I'm particularly want to keep happy, so I'm going to go and hit accept. Got to be careful because there may be some hostile fleets around, so that is a possibility. I like how there's some Norwegian peasants up there sieging out Norway. I think the trade fleets will be okay for the most part. Although saying that, there is a hostile fleet in there, but I think the Lübeck trade, words. I think the Lübeck fleet doesn't quite go that deep in. Saying that, they do have a few. What are those? Not the light ships, the ones that are good in seas. What are they called? Galleys. They do have a fair few galleys in there, so I may not necessarily want to take my ships in to try and help with that. Although it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to get the heavy fleet out. Actually, we might be able to do something with that. We've got these lights in there. Let's use those lights as well. Let's go ahead and unmothball this fleet. And we don't really need the transports, so I'm just going to select the transports and re-mothball those, and then the others can come out and join the fight. So I don't think they're going to come down and try and actually help me. Do I really want to help Brandenburg? That is the question. Do I want to help Brandenburg grow? Because the chances are at some point I'm going to be fighting against them. So I do need to keep my eye out for things there. Got to be careful because there are some enemy fleets around. As you can see, we've got the Hansa have got a fleet down here who are trying to siege me out. What have they actually got there? 16 lights and a heavy. They're going to have a lot of problems very shortly. Let's take everything that's here. Everything except the transports, which should be mothballed. You guys can group together and continue to heal up. It's going to take them a little while to get fully healed, actually. We have won a battle up there, so we must have just ran into an insignificant amount of units. Yeah, there's quite a lot of naval units around. I'm a little bit concerned at the moment about these guys. What have they got there? They've got some... Well, they're mainly transports. And those are mainly galleys. I think if we ran into them, we would actually win that fight. So I'm not too bothered about the trade fleet at the moment. And I'm probably going to regret that at some point when I get absolutely destroyed by them. So this is delaying my war. What is my mission, actually? That was something that I meant to check and I've forgotten completely. We are trying to... annex Hesse, which I think we're in the middle of, or we were in the middle of, or we were trying to do. Maybe we haven't started it yet, but we will be able to do that. Obviously, we can't do it while we're at war, as we haven't already started, but that's fine. Still waiting for these rebels to pop up in Great Britain. We have actually lost a battle somewhere. That was our trade fleet, actually. Our trade fleet went in there and took quite a beating. That's fine. So what we'll do is we'll take the Lübeck trade fleet, who's just lost a fair few units. We're actually going to go and they want to dock in Essex. I'd like them to try and dock in Normandy if possible. So we're going to go and dock in Normandy. We've just gained some extra manpower. So what we will do is we'll take this as a big group. And we will... Oh, that didn't work quite as I expected it to. Got you to build in the wrong place, didn't I? We'll take all these ships and sort them out later. We do have our... where's our Gulf of St. Lawrence fleet? Lubeck. It's you, isn't it? You're the Gulf of St. Lawrence fleet. So let's rename you. One thing that we do want to avoid doing is putting all of our trade fleets on to go home at war, because sometimes that would just mean when you're at war, that's one of the most important times to actually have a decent income. And the last thing you want to happen is for all of your fleets to suddenly go home during the war, which really sort of screws you over. So we'll wait for all these fleets to form up. Then we're going to go around and do a bit of navy sinking of our own. We've lost a little bit of power projection now. We can still have a free leader, actually. We could go ahead and get a naval leader. It would cost us Diplo power. We are ahead of... No, we're behind time on our Diplo tech. So do I really want to spend Diplo power on an admiral? I don't necessarily think that we do. That might be a bad idea. So we've got this fleet here. We want everything apart from the transports, and we're going to group them up. Most of them should be fully or close to fully repaired. There are still a few ships here that aren't. Most of them appear to be or need upgrading anyway. But well, let's go ahead and take this absolutely massive fleet. You're the English Channel one, aren't you? And let's go and move in with our navy and show these guys that we mean business. Actually, fare will be produced. Where are you heading? I think you're heading into the North Sea, aren't you? You might back out now. If we can actually trap them in here, which I think we can. Now, they do have an admiral, but I think just on sheer numbers, we should be good. Obviously, they can outrun us. Oh, no, we have actually managed to engage here. So, we had 102 ships to start with. We're doing an amazing job of sinking their navy. We've lost one ship. So, we only lost one ship in all of that, which wasn't too bad at all. There's another navy over here that we need to deal with. And the good thing is if I can completely sink their navies, it means that I can go back to trading safely as well. Got a lot of stuff that I need to do with money. I need to upgrade my existing ships as well as building a better fleet and saving some money so that we've got something we can use to get ourselves some mercenaries. So what do we have here? We can either gain 25 power points in all disciplines and we'll gain a skill 3 treasurer, or we can get some production efficiency and national tax modifier for 10 years, or we can get trade power and trade steering for 10 years, or we can get minus 10% ship costs. Well, we do still need to build a fair few more ships. There again, I think getting the tax and production efficiency will give us more money than the 10% we might save on ships. So you guys are going to come in here now. They do have a fair few navies around, but their navies are pretty much stuck. So we're just going to go in here and cause as many problems as possible for their navies. And obviously what you've got to remember with navies is because they're ships, they don't actually repair between fights. Gain 300 population for losing 25 Diplo power, or gain 5 prestige. Well, let's get the population. We'll get our colonies up and running as quick as possible. Let's go and get involved in that battle over there. Well, we've sank a lot of navies. We can go and park ourselves in here. These fleets are actually getting sieged out by Russia. They will need to leave at some point. We're actually getting attrition, though, because we're a little bit far away. There's nothing really we can do there. So what I'm going to do is I'll bring these guys back to Normandy, where they can repair up. So that's reduced some of the threat. Anyway, most of those navies are now gone. There is a navy down here. The Hansa's got a single transport. Not bothered about that at all. Not even slightly. Hopefully the war won't go on too long, because while we're involved in this war, we can't really do an awful lot else. We do have a positive war score. I certainly think the fact that we've wiped out some of the navies is going to help. Not that you get a massive amount of war score for wiping out navies, but it does mean that Sweden can't blockade some of these strait crossings on the land, which will certainly help the Allies out. Obviously, we've also reduced their transports as well. Does look like Sweden have got quite a big fleet romping around there. I don't necessarily think that Russia's going to be able to handle that. There are still a few little navies bubbling around. I don't think they're going to be of massive consequence, but we've actually managed to pick up a galley here as well, which I don't particularly want, but I'll keep it while we're at war, because at the end of the day, even if we lose it in combat, it's not that bad of a thing. It's just the transports that we don't want, so let's keep them all together. We took a fair bit of damage on some of the ships, but we've got enough to go and do some more damage. Right, we've got peasants have broken out now. I was expecting this to happen at some point. That wasn't unexpected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my transports. I am going to unmothball them. And I'm going to send them straight over here to Essex. Now, I don't need to fully repair them, because all they're literally doing is picking some people up and dropping some people off. So what we're going to do, you guys are going to attach to the ships, and the ships are going to go and drop you straight off at Kent. Because unfortunately, you can't get from Essex to Kent. And we will try and take Oxfordshire next, which will help. So we've got 20 guys against 27. They do have the advantage of numbers. They have no leader, though, and we do have a relatively good leader here, so we should be able to win this battle quite easily. I'm going to go and move the transports back down here. The only reason I had those guys in Essex is because I was waiting for this to pop, and the idea was I wanted to be able to land in a neighbouring province and move in, as opposed to having to actually land on the province where they were. So let's go ahead and just quickly... can we upgrade those ships that need to be upgrading? So let's go ahead and remothball the transports. We don't need those. We should win that quite easily. And then because we've had a recent uprising, that should get rid of the some of the unrest there. Took a little bit of some losses, but that won't be too bad. So let's go ahead and grab our fleet over here. And let's go back and see if there is anything that we can help sink. There's probably not an awful lot round. Most of the ships I can see are just tiny little fleets that duck into port the moment we go anywhere near them. Yeah, they've still got that big massive Swedish stack around there. Russia should have the numbers. There's certainly no reason why Russia shouldn't be able to deal with them. Now, I guess as soon as we get close to the Livonian order here, they're probably going to skedaddle, which I would expect. I mean, that navy is not an issue at all. And it'd be nice if we could wipe them out. Yeah, they've seen us coming. They're already starting to move back to port. There they go, they're in port now. There's nothing I can do about them. There probably isn't an awful lot of point now me keeping those guys here, because they're costing me money, and we've pretty much sunk most of the navy. There's not an awful lot that we can do. I think we have played our part in this war. We could go in and try and help with some of the Swedish troops, but there probably isn't much of a point. Unfortunately, Brandenburg has lost a little bit of war score. I guess it's most of what's going on up here. So who's actually involved in this war? Let's just quickly pause things up. So we've got Brandenburg. Obviously, we've got ourselves and all of our vassals and colonial nations. We've got Brunswick, Corsica's ours as well. Obviously, Hesse is ours. Russia and Tyrone's ours as well, as is Munster. So it's mainly just Russia's the other big power that's involved in there. I don't see why this war shouldn't go our way. Recall diplomat. There's no point in you staying with the Hesse because you can't do an awful lot. Okay, so we've just pieced out of... No, the Hansa accepted peace. But the Commonwealth want us to go to war with them against the Crimea and the Ottomans. Let's go ahead and hit accept on that. Again, it's one of those wars that I shouldn't actually have to get really involved in. Now we're getting people coalition against us, even though we haven't actually taken anything here. So we are starting to get some coalitions. So that is worrisome. I knew it was going to happen at some point. Milan, yeah. So coalition is firing. Austria's entered into a coalition against us. There we go. That's what we were waiting for. We've had coalitions before, so it's not surprising. Now, oddly enough, our aggressive expansion hasn't gone up. This is mainly due to the fact that we're in wars. And because we're involved in 2 other wars, the AI thinks that we're going to be an easy target. So that's what we have to be careful of here. We can invest in a new idea, which would be a military idea, which would give us reduced war score cost. That could be very nice. What do we like in terms of tech? We were well ahead of time. So let's go ahead and... well, that's actually our diplomatic idea. We haven't got our... okay, admin ideas. Admin tech, we are almost at our cap. So let's go ahead and grab our admin tech. Need to do that. Diplotech, we are behind the times. We could go and grab our next Diplotech. We probably should, but there again... what do we get for this? Lowered stability impact from diplomatic... impact on stability from diplomatic actions. And it would give us cheaper Diplotech costs. Let's just finish off the Diplo ideas while we can. We've lost an advisor also, which is our admin advisor. Let's just go for the minus national unrest. That's probably the best one to get for now. We've got a new mission. Oh, actually, it's a new national decision. So we could introduce church taxes. It would give us +1 national unrest, but we get +8 tax for the rest of the game. Yes, please. And superintendents would reduce the national unrest, but increase the stability cost modifier. It's not very often my stability drops, and that would offset the national unrest that we've just picked up from that other decision. So let's go ahead and do that. So what have we got over here? I don't think we need the heavies anymore. I'm going to split the heavies off. And I'm going to put them in mothballs. I am going to grab the galley and disband it, because I don't want that. And I will take the lights. And we still have 60 there. They were patrolling the Lubeck trade node. You're going to go back to protecting trade in Lubeck. You should be fine. So, even though we actually have this coalition against us... it hasn't actually triggered yet, so no one is fighting us, so that is a good thing. Hopefully, that's not going to happen for a while, but we'll find out in another video. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you are still enjoying Europa Universalis IV, and I'll see you next time. Until then, goodbye for now.